Good morning, guys. It is time for a brand new chapter, and today we are going to be working with telling time using clocks, reading clocks, and understanding everything we need to know about telling time. I really hope that a lot of this is review for you, but even if it's not, I'm going to be going over the very basics of telling a clock, or reading a clock, I should say. So pay close attention. There might be some things that you may have not known about a clock. So here we go. The first thing is that the front of a clock is called its face. And every face of every clock will have 12 numbers. Some clocks just have longer lines, but they need to represent 12 different numbers. And I hope you already know that 1 hour has 60 minutes in it. And in just a second, I'm going to show you why and how the number 12 and the number 60 connect in our clock, because they are significant. The next thing is that the numbers on the inside of the clock are actually the hour numbers. They tell us what hour there is, and we have hours 1 through 12. And there are 5 marks in between each number, or it takes 5 ticks, you can say, to get from one number to the next. Now, I told you there's this connection between the numbers 1 through 12 and that there being 5 marks, because if you take number 12 and you take number 5 and you multiply them, you will get, ching ching, 60 minutes on our clock. So the outer ticks represent our minutes, and the inner numbers represent our hours, okay? So let's also talk about a day, a full day. One full day has 24 hours. And you're like, that's such a random number, 24. But actually it is not. We have 12 hours during our daytime. And then we will also have 12 hours represented in our nighttime or our afternoon time, okay? And if you add those together, 12 plus 12, boom, 24 hours in a day. So it will take us 2 full rotations of that clock, or revolutions of our clock, to complete one full day. Now, let's talk about the nighttime. The 12 o'clock hour at night, we call it midnight, okay? And the reason that I put morning there is after midnight, our morning begins. So after midnight, in the middle of the night, you get to 1 o'clock in the morning. After midnight, we've now started our morning, and we use the letters AM to express that. AM actually means antemeridian, it's Latin, for before midday. So AM is before midday. Think of the letter A being the first in the alphabet. It comes before everything. So AM is before our midday. If we look at 12 o'clock during our day, we call that noon. So during the daytime, the 12 o'clock time is called noon. And anything after that is called afternoon. Get it? Afternoon. Yes, the afternoon is anything after noon, or 12 during the day. And we call this PM, or post meridian, after midday in Latin. Okay? So this is just a few things, general things about time and our days. Let's move on. We know that 1 hour is 60 minutes, and I've circled those hour marks right there. Those represent our hour. 1 hour is 60 minutes. We know that there are 5 marks in between each number. So if we're counting the hours, we look at the numbers on the inside of the clock. If we're counting the minutes, we're going to look at the ticks, or the marks, on the outer edge of our clocks. And if we do that, we're going to actually be counting by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and back up to 60 full minutes in an hour. Okay? So this is breaking down how the clock works. Now, there are 3 specific sections of a clock that I want to explore with you today. You will sometimes find clocks that only have these 4 numbers on them, or maybe they only have 4 large ticks for where these numbers belong, and that's because these are very important numbers in reading time. So if we look at the number 12 first, this represents the beginning of our hour, the beginning of a new hour. It represents 0. It begins the next hour, and we call it o'clock. Every time you reach that 12 again, you're at a brand new hour. It starts the clock all over again. Let's move down to the 3. If we counted by 5s, 5, 10, 15, this is 15 minutes after the hour has started. So we will label it as 15, or we use this term quarter after. A quarter is 1/4. We just got done with fractions. So it's actually 1/4. And if I fill that part of the clock in, you can see that that is 1/4 of the whole circle. And so we say that is a quarter after this hour has begun. It's a quarter after, okay? Now let's go down to the number 6. If we counted by 5s, or if we know our multiplications, 5 times 6 is 30. Very good. And anytime the minute hand is pointing down, we say 30. Or we will also use the term half past. Why do we use half past? Because half of the hour has now passed. And so we use quarter after and then half after. Now for the last one, and this is the trickier one. If we go to the 9, and we know that 9 times 5, or if we counted by 5s all the way over to 9, we would make it to 45. This is the 45-minute mark. Now, you would think that we would say 45 after, right? We go quarter after, half past, and then 45 after. But no, we actually say quarter to, or a quarter till. And here's why. Because if I fill in my clock and I'm at the 45-minute mark, I'm so close to the next hour, we start doing more of a countdown. Okay, it's 45, or we're at 45 minutes, so that means there's only 15 minutes or a quarter of an hour until the next time or the next o'clock. So we're going to either say that we have a quarter after, that's 15. It's a quarter after 3. It has been 15 minutes after school has gotten out. Or I could say it's a quarter to 3, meaning there's 15 minutes until 3 o'clock, until we get out of school. And we'll be talking about these and using these phrases when we read our clocks more. All right. So let's take a look at our clock here. And I want to introduce you to the different hands of our clock. And I love doing this because the first one I'm starting off with is our hour hand. This is the little short hand on the clock. It's my favorite hand. It points to the numbers on the inner circle because it's telling us what hour it is, okay? So you just have to look at what number it's pointing to and you'll know what hour it is in the day. I compare this little guy to a short guy running, okay? He's not very fast, he's little, but he's doing his best there, okay? So the hour hand runs, but he runs really short. And so when I'm telling time, I will ask myself, when I want to know what hour it is, I will ask myself, what lap is this little guy on? What lap is the hour hand on? Okay? And he represents the hour hand to me. The next hand is called the minute hand. It is much longer, usually skinnier, and it goes and moves a lot faster. It's pointing to the outer marks of the clock. It's pointing to the minutes. The reason it's longer is it's trying to show you it's pointing to the outer edges, counting the outer edges of that clock. And I relate it to some tall, skinny guy that's just jamming. He's running quickly. And as he runs, I ask myself, well, how many laps has he also completed? Because he goes 5 times almost as fast as this poor little short guy. And if you remember, each number has 5 marks to complete to each one, like each 1, 2, 3. There's 5 marks in between. So we can really count by 5s as we are counting our minutes. So let's look at the clock. And if I want to tell time or show time, here's what I'm going to do. First, I want to know the hour. And that's the numbers. The hour hand points to the numbers. It's the short guy, okay? And here he is. He's going to come first. What hour, what lap is he on? Is he on 2? Is he on 3? There's only 12 that he can be on, okay? And then I will ask myself, now where's the minute hand? And then those point to the marks, and I'm going to ask myself, where's that fast guy going? And usually I'm going to be counting by 5s to find where he is, and I'm going to ask myself, how many laps is he doing? So let's do a couple of these. Let's have some fun here. Here I have my hour hand, and you can see that my little guy, he's running, but he is only on lap 6. So if I draw out a line, it helps me kind of see what lap he's on. He's on lap 6, so I would say it is 6. And then I want to look for my minute hand second. And here he is running super fast, and I need to count by 5s. I can't say it's 6:03. I would have to count by 5s to get to him. 5, 10, 15. It is actually 6:15, this clock, okay? Let's do another one, and this one is where many people get tripped up. So let's do our hour hand right here. And here's where people get tripped up. This little guy's running, and many people will say, oh, I know, it's 3 o'clock, because that arrow really looks like it's super close to the 3. But if you really draw the line out, you can see that poor little guy has not made it to lap 3 yet. He is not there yet. And if he's not there, you can't give it to him. So it is not 3 o'clock yet. He's still only on lap 2, poor little guy. And now I can go on to my minute hand. And he's just been running and running and running. And if he's on the 11, I can multiply that by 5. 11 times 5 is 55, and my time right here is 2:55. So I'm going to go ahead and let you do both of your work pages today. Please let me know if you have questions. I went over quite a bit of stuff today, but this one lesson will get you through several of your math pages when it comes to telling time. Hopefully this made sense to you guys and you learned a few things. All right, good luck.